Okay, guys, so today we're talking about the single product page and how we can add content to it, how we can remove content from it, and putting those two together, how we can move content around. For example, the little three images at the bottom, we can move them to the product description or something like that, okay? And finally, we're going to see how to edit content, okay? So we have 4 things on the to-do list, and hopefully we're going to do everything. At the very end of this video, if you're watching it live, you'll be able to ask me any questions you have on the single product page or on anything related to WooCommerce, okay? Today, we're not going to talk about me. We're going to go straight into a live demonstration. Okay. As you know, in March, I will be running a very, very cool WooCommerce online course. And I really hope that you're enjoying these classes because there will be so much more coming up in 2016. So let's get started. Okay. Let's say first task I want to do today is to add some content here. If you can see my little circle there, I want to add some content below the short description on the single product page. Okay. Now, in PHP, you could either override the template, you could, do crazy stuff. The beauty of WooCommerce and WordPress in general is that WooCommerce gives you a lot of hooks or actions that you can use to add, in our case, content exactly where we want it, okay? Specifically for the single product page and also other pages, you probably know that I developed something called the Visual Hook Guide, which I'm going to open right now. And this is the Visual Hook Guide for the single product page. What you'll see is an exact graphical layout of the hooks that you can use on the single product page and what position they belong to. And also, at the bottom of the page, you can see a list of existing add action hooks that WooCommerce creates itself. So we'll see later on, you can edit these ones, you can remove them, you can do whatever you want. Now, remember our goal was to add something below the short description. Here is the short description. So you will probably see that the closest hook is right under the short description is called WooCommerce before add to cart form. Does that make sense? I know that many of you know hooks already, but this is just good content and you want to hear it and hear it over again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this hook. I copy it, right? And then a little bit, before we go straight into editing the PHP. Now, my active theme is called Storefront Business Bloomer. This is a child theme of Storefront. Now, if you don't know what a child theme is and why you need it, we probably need to do a lesson just for that. But let's bypass this little thing right now. My current theme is called Storefront Business Bloomer, okay? And if I go to my FTP right here, I can see it there. I know that it's probably really small on the screen, but it doesn't matter. What I do is I just double click on my theme and look for my functions.php file, okay? That's the only file that you'll need to edit when you work with actions, filters, removing content, editing content, and so on, okay? What you do is you take this functions.php file and you drag and drop it onto your computer in a folder, right? FTP is asking me, do you want to override it? Yes. Now you work on your computer. You see, we haven't even opened the WordPress editor because it is such a mess to work with a WordPress editor. If something happens that you mess up with functions, you break the website, it's very difficult to recover. We'll do a full lesson on troubleshooting next year. But for now, let's go straight into PHP. I open the functions and ask me if I wanted to reload it. Yes. So I have a bunch of files here that I'm going to delete and just leave the one that we need, which is the functions.php. OK? Now, remember, we want to add some content below the single product page short description. And remember, I previously copied, what is it? I previously copied the hook that is right below the short description. Now, guys, remember, you can pause this video how long you want. You can rewatch it and watch it. So don't worry if the picture is small. You'll be able to zoom it. You'll be able to do everything. Let me see if I can actually zoom these out a little bit. Yeah, that's good, actually. It probably looks much, much better. So I'm Notepad++, and I'm simply starting my line with add action. All right? Open parentheses, open single quotes. I copy that exact hook that we previously, I paste that exact hook that I previously copied from the visual hook. And then I create my own function, something like print something below short description. OK, and close quotes, and then semicolon. This is a very simple way to add something below the short description through the before add to cart form. Does that make sense? Perfect. Now I go and create my function. The function has to have the same exact name, this one, then open and close brackets. And here is going to be my echo test. Close semicolon. All right. So I'm adding an action that hooks into the WooCommerce before add to cart form. And the function that I want to hook into that place is called print something below the short description. This function, what does it do? Echo something, a string that is called test. Now, this is very simple. I'm sure many of you are really advanced on this, and I'm sorry if you are. I just need to cater for everyone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload. Sorry, I'm going to save the functions. I'm going to go to my folder, on my local folder, take the functions, go to FTP, upload them back, override, and now I go to my test page, if I can find it, and take a look if anything happens here once I refresh. Hello, there you go. That's your test. What I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom it a little bit more. So it is so simple, guys, to add content to the single product page and to all the other pages by simply using existing hooks. And remember my visual hook guide? There are so many hooks that you can use. So I can go back to my functions and use the exact same thing for in another position. I add the same function, but this time I added before the single product summary. There, right? You see what I've done? Add action in a different place, same function. Save, upload it back. All right, go here to the test page, refresh, and test has gone there as well. So you see how simple this is? Adding content is the easiest thing you can do. Now, we've just seen how to add strings, and that's fine. This is really helpful if you want to add the same exact text on every single product page. You know, some clients might ask you, I want to add a disclaimer or a shipping notice or something that goes on every single product page. This is the exact thing that you want to do. However, you can do a lot of more advanced stuff. And what I have for you is, for example, we saw last time, there is a snippet on my website, and you can find it on any other website. You can show the number of products sold on the product page. I take this snippet exactly as it is. I copy it. I go to my functions. Let's for now forget about all this part and cancel it. And add this new snippet. Okay, now that we know how it works, let's try, without knowing what this snippet does, let's try to understand where it's going to go. Okay? Now, it's saying add action, WooCommerce single product summary. What I do is I go and take a look at my visual hook, single product summary. There you go. You see where it is? It looks like it's above the product title or somewhere in there. We'll see why. And then he's adding a function that is called business bloomer product sold count, right? And this function, what does is calculates based on each single product how many units have been sold. Now, this is not rocket science. I know that you need a little bit of PHP skills to make this coding, right? But I am not a developer. I am the exact same as yourself. I don't come from a technical background. And after you play with these functions, you actually get to learn a lot, okay? So keep playing, keep failing, keep, copying other people's snippets, copy all mine, doesn't matter. And the more you play with this, the better you get, okay? So I'm gonna save this function. I'm going to my local, upload back to the template, override, and let's see what happens on my single product page. Where are we? There you go. Units sold 15. This is an amazing, amazing snippet, which, by the way, I recommend you use for your own clients or your own website. Showing how many units you've sold is big, big proof that you're a successful store, right? Look at eBay, look at Amazon. That's the first thing to do. But anyway, let's not go into marketing. Let's just stick with PHP, all right? Now, you see how this unit sold 15 is showing between the price and the short description. Remember how there was an 11 here. Let's try put 30 and see if anything changes. I save, I upload back, overwrite, go back to the template, sorry, to the page, and look where it's gone. It's gone below the add to cart button. Let's try now to add 60. I know that you know where I'm coming from here. Save, upload, Look where it's gone. It's gone below the product meta. So the number defines the position, right? And WooCommerce has been smart enough. If you go back to the visual guide to the very bottom, look what it did. These are all the functions that hooks into the single product summary. But they left gaps. So there is 5, 10, 10, 20, 40, 50, 30. This means that if you use something with 11, it's going to go between the 10 and the 20 in relation to the layout. This is very, very simple. So the number that is at the end of the action defines the priority, or the order in which they show. If there are two of the same hooks, the number defines which one is called first. Very, very simple. Okay. Another example. Let's take a look at another snippet. Add text above add to cart, taken from my website once again. Well, it's loading slow. I have to do something about speed. Right. Take the PHP snippet, copy, put my function. This time let's put it together with that. Let's see what it does. This add an action in the WooCommerce single product summary with priority 20, and add a functions that is called return policy, and simply is echoing a paragraph, an HTML paragraph. Very, very simple. I save. I upload back to functions. Go back to the single product page, upload, and there you go. 30-day return policy offered, see terms and conditions. This is the exact example that I was making earlier on. If there is something that you need to show on every single product page, such as this one, then that's the exact thing that you want to use, which is the add action in PHP. Very simple. Through PHP, you can add HTML. This is amazing. And of course, you see in the function that that paragraph had an ID, right? RTRN. So you can also target that with the CSS. So this is how cool this is. You can add basically HTML and CSS to any PHP page through a simple line of code. Okay? So we already spent 20 minutes on adding content. Now, remember, today's lesson is about the single product page. We want to see how to add content. We want to see how to remove content. We want to see how to move content around and how to edit existing content. Okay, so I'm sure that many of you have probably questions about images and size of the thumbnails and stuff like that. You know what? That's actually CSS. It's nothing to do with PHP. You can, at the moment, this layout is 50-50, right? 50%, 50% width. If you make the left-hand side 30%, the image will get smaller because it's responsive, of course. So we're just going to go and stay into the PHP for today, and then probably we'll investigate and we'll do one lesson on images. I think that's a huge, huge thing in WooCommerce. I remember someone was asking me last week, my images are always pixelated, or I cannot make it responsive, or I want to hide images on some products. I mean, there is loads to talk about. So let's stick to today's content, and then maybe we'll organize another one. So we've seen how to add content. We've added this HTML there. We added this function there. Let's see how to remove existing content. And this is how helpful, in my opinion, by the way, the visual hook guide I developed is, which, by the way, you can find it at businessprogram.com/hooks. The beauty of this is that I copied and pasted all the list of actions that WooCommerce uses, right? Now, you see all these add actions here. These are actions that you can remove as well. So let's say we want to remove, I don't know, the title, right? You don't want to hide it via CSS. I mean, you're overloading the page with code if you add something and then you hide it. With PHP, you can actually remove it. You can actually make sure it never loads. So you see how this is great for website speed. Removing something is much better than hiding it, okay? So our goal, for example, is let's remove the single product page title, all right? You go to the visual hook guide, you find this string. Look at this. Add action, WooCommerce single product summary, WooCommerce template, single title 5. You take it exactly as it is. You go to your functions. Let's remove all this. Paste the action, right? Has to be the exact same, but this time instead of add, you type remove. I mean, this is the easiest thing ever. You don't even need to know what these functions do. You don't even need to know PHP. I save. I upload the file back to the server. I go to my single product page, refresh, and magic. Do you remember the title here was right there? It's gone. With one line of code, we've removed some content on the single product page. Now, how cool is this? Let's take a look at the other visual, at the other add actions that WooCommerce adds. Look at this. The related products? What if we want to remove them? I take the whole thing, I go to my functions, I put remove instead of add, save. Let's restore the titles. So I only keep the remove related products. Save. Upload it back to the server. Remember, that's your current team functions.php. Save. And scroll down. The related products that were there are gone. Let's say you want to hide the upsells as well. You go to the visual guide. Sorry, I'm getting confused here. You go to the visual guide, look for the upsells, copy the whole string, go here, instead of add, remove. Save, upload it back to the server. And when I go here and refresh, oh, they're still there. This is beautiful. And what I meant earlier actually is perfect. This is a live demonstration, and that's exactly the reason why we're doing this, which is, it doesn't always go smoothly. It doesn't always go like you want. So you need to keep insisting and understanding why it's not working. Now, what could be the problem? Well, the problem could be this is the wrong number, right? It could be the storefront, my team, for some reason, has moved that element already with a different number. The problem could be that I'm removing this action too early. So I remove it and then storefront is adding it back. So it really, really depends what you're trying to do. Usually, when you just use remove action with the exact same PHP that WooCommerce uses, usually you're able to remove it. Okay, so we don't have time to investigate this, but maybe in 2016, we'll actually have a lesson just about remove actions, because I got in trouble before. I thought it was so easy, like I just showed you, and then something happened, or maybe my team was already removing that action, and therefore I couldn't remove it myself. So, it's important to know all these little tricks. Now I want to reset my function, upload it back, and then show you a really, really cool thing. We still have, 15 minutes of contents, and then we'll go into questions and answers. So if you have anything there, guys, don't hesitate to keep it until the end, or you can start posting questions, because I'll be here for an extra 50 minutes anyway. So you might as well use my time. Right, so we've seen already how we can add content. We've seen how we can remove content. Now, if you put those two things together, add and remove, you can actually find out how to move content, right? In order to move content, you need to remove it from somewhere and then add it somewhere else. Does that make sense? Am I, guys, am I speaking Japanese to you, or are you okay with this? I hope you're okay. So that's why the moving comes after the adding and the removing, because it's a combination of the two, okay? So let's, for example, try to move these 3 images from where they are right now to inside the short description, something like that, okay? So what I do is I go to the visual hook guide and investigate what happens below the image. Now, below the image, there is a hook called, of course, WooCommerce product thumbnails, okay? I scroll down to the list of things that happen, and there you go. I'll find the WooCommerce is adding the product thumbnails through that hook, okay? I copy that, and I put my functions and try, hopefully this time, to remove them. Save, upload it back to the server, and I hope I'm not going too fast or too slow for many of you. I refresh, and you see how the images are gone now? So I removed the action, all right? Now, I still want those images somewhere else. So I'm actually moving them somewhere else. And let's try to go under the short description, okay? I go to the visual guide, take a look at what happens under the short description, which is the before add to cart form. I take that, I go here, copy this exact same line. This time I add action, and this time I don't want it to go into the WooCommerce product thumbnails, but instead I want it to go on the before add to cart form. Copy, paste it in there. So have you seen what I've done? Initially, we removed the action exactly as it was. Now we're copying that action, but putting it somewhere else with the exact function, with the same exact function name. Let's see what happens. You never know what happens. I save, upload it back, go to the single product page, refresh, and voila, your 3 products have now gone exactly where we wanted to go without having to override a template, without having to do any messy thing on a single product page. We simply removed them from where they were originally and put them somewhere else. by using the same exact function name. This is how good this is. Now, of course, you need some CSS to make these three images be in line, on the same line. Of course, there is already some CSS targeting images on the left-hand side. It's looking for them. They're not there. So, of course, you have to change something in the CSS. But it was simply to show you how easy it is to move information. Let's try to move the meta information under the image this time. All right? I go to the visual guide. Take a look at where the meta information is. There you go. Add action, WooCommerce single product summary, WooCommerce template single meta 40. I take that, remove all this for now. This is the action that WooCommerce uses, right? First of all, I want to remove it from where it is right now, right? Second of all, I want to put this function under the image. So I copy this, I add action this time, and I have to change the hook. So I remove that one. I go look for the visual guide. I want to go exactly under the images. So I take this one, copy, paste here. And let's see what happens. I save, upload it back to the server, and see what happens on the test. Voila. You have your product meta under the product image. All right. Now, it's really, really cool the way we're doing this way through functions.php. The reason why I use my team functions.php, which, by the way, it's a child team, it's not a parent team. So we'll probably do a lesson in 2016 about this. But the reason why I use functions.php is that I can back it up. I can do whatever I want with it. There are, of course, a lot of plugins like WP snippets, or code snippets is another one that I use a lot. If you want to use and remove and add actions and filter, you can do whatever you want. As long as you understand how easy it is to add content to this page, to remove content that has previously added by WooCommerce, and finally, to move content, which is a combination of removing it and after that, adding it somewhere else. Now, I take for granted that this is okay with you so far. I know a lot of people are pretty advanced on these videos, so you're probably laughing at what I'm doing. But you know what? This is how I started. And, my goal is to cover my whole journey from simple snippets here and there to actually being able to troubleshoot everything. And if you don't know basic stuff and you forget about basic stuff, then it's very difficult to move on to an advanced level. Okay, so here is why I'm covering all these basics right now. Totally free, no sales pitch. I hope you really, really enjoy these things. Now, to complete today's class, I promised you that together with adding content, removing content, and moving content, we were going to do a bit of editing content. Now, this is the most complicated thing. When we're talking about editing content, we're talking about filters. And I don't know if you guys ever heard of filters. I'm sure you have. So filters are really tricky. They never work, right? Unless you're a developer who knows, their stuff, they never work. and they're really difficult to get them to work, and to do exactly to make them do exactly what you want. All right. So we're simply going to show an example. All right. By the way, this visual hook guide that I created, I'm going to do an exact copy of this just for filters. In this way, you'll be able, once again, to copy hooks or filters in that case, paste them in your functions, and do whatever customization you want to do. Right? Right now, what we're going to do is, first of all, I want to show you the WooCommerce templates. And if we go to, where are we? Yeah, if we go to, what you want to do, I really recommend you do is actually you download WooCommerce onto your computer and take a look at the files, mostly the templates folder. In that templates, there is all the PHP files that actually create the the WooCommerce templates. And there is a subfolder called single product where you find all the PHP files that create the single product. If we take a look, for example, at the price.php, we'll see a lot of PHP code. If we take a look at the, I don't know, short description, there is a lot of PHP code. You'll never need to do anything with this because all these templates, they have these things. The so-called apply filters, which is places where you can actually hook into via a filter and change how, in this case, the short description shows. And it's a little bit complicated to understand what they do, but you know what? You Google it, you find a filter snippet, you paste it into your functions, and it does exactly what it's meant to do, right? So that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to go to one of my filters. For example, one that changes the add to cart text. So you see we've added content, we've removed, we moved. But what if you want to change something that is already there? You don't want to move it, you don't want to remove it, you don't want to add more content, you actually want to change. So WooCommerce templates are so flexible that allow you to do absolutely anything you like without having to tweak the code in that template. You can just use functions.php, or as someone was saying, a plugin that you can add snippets. Okay, so let's take a look at this particular. Oh, this is a WooTeams actually one. What they're saying is you can simply add a filter to your functions.php. Let's see what it does. This function adds a filter to the WooCommerce product single add to cart text and creates a custom add to cart button text. Now, this might sound Japanese to you, but it's not. Basically, this little snippet is changing from add to cart to my button text, right? For example, you want to call it add to basket, as they say in UK. And you save, you upload it back. Oh, where are we? I got lost. Upload it back to the server. And let's try to see if that filter is actually changed what we wanted to change. Now, refresh. So this is a variable product. So I have to click on an option first. And there you go, add to basket. Okay, so filters are great little tricks to edit content that WooCommerce kindly allows you to tweak. Okay, so with these 4 things, adding contents, removing contents, moving contents, and editing contents, you can do anything you like on a single product page. And I hope today's presentation was, enough for you to understand that you finally don't need to override anything. You finally don't need to tweak the WooCommerce plugin files. You can simply add anything you like. You can remove absolutely everything that shows there. You can, if you want, move things around. One of the most popular things was, for example, to move the tabs in here under the short description. That's one of the most common requests I get asked. And you can simply take the action that generates this layout, remove it from there, and add action below the short description. It's so simple, right? You don't need to redesign the whole single product page template. You can simply do it with hooks, filters, and remove actions. Okay, so I want to conclude this year. I really thank you for being